What's happening, y'all? Listen, I wanted to do this real quick because I was going through my comment section and I came across a comment where somebody saw one of my old videos where I was discussing the reverse discard. And they were asking me to kind of expound upon my experience going through the reverse discard. And I think it's a good topic to talk about because it happens a lot more than people realize it happens. I see it a lot of times day to day when people are expressing their videos and stuff online, some of the stuff that they've gone through, people that have inboxed me and have told me about the things that they have gone through that are very similar to my experience. So I wanted to talk about the reverse discard and when it happens and the reasons that it happens, I guess. And the reason that, like I said, one of the reasons that I wanted to do it is because I feel like a lot of us get confused about what the reverse discard is, how it happens, and what the purpose of it is. So, in my experience, the reverse discard came in a situation where I was real go with the flow. I'm always like laid back, cool. Even in relationships, I'm usually pretty chill, laid back, cool, calm, and collected when it come down for the most part. Now, this person had probably been trying to push my buttons the entire time, but me just being so cool, calm, and collected, I didn't even really notice that it was happening, or if if I did notice it, I was probably just like, yeah, whatever, like just brushing it off on some I got bigger fish to fry. I'm dealing with a whole lot of other stuff, other real situations in life. You know what I'm saying? I'm dealing with a whole lot of other stuff that's going on. So the problems that this person is throwing at me at the time is petty. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not like really feeding into it. I'm not, I guess, giving a reaction to where, um, it will warrant like any type of backlash or whatever the case may be. So I'm just going with the flow. She's probably pushing my buttons a little bit. And I'm not really taking the bait. Now, what goes on further is she started pushing the buttons a little bit further. She started pushing those buttons a little bit harder. And she started crossing the lines of disrespect. When the lines of disrespect got crossed, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. When those lines of disrespect started to get crossed, I started to become more vocal. I started to become like, nah, I'm not going for that. Like, you're not going to treat me this type of way, or you're not going to do this to me or do that to me because I've been good to you. You know what I'm saying? I've stepped up to the situation. I've stepped up to the plate, regardless of what our circumstances are. I've always done right by you. I've always had your best interest at heart. I've always, been in your corner, been a friend, been a lover, been all of these different things to you. So it's like, why am I now starting to? And at the beginning of all of this, you acted like you were going to reciprocate. You know what I'm saying? So now all of a sudden, the table has completely flipped. So in my situation, I can honestly say the reverse discard was crazy because I was being loved. I did a video about this before, but I was being love bombed up into the reverse discard. You know what I'm saying? So everything seemed normal. Everything seemed like, oh, she was still head over heels with me, in love with me. She was always up under me. She was always, at my house. She was always coming around to be involved with whatever it is that I had going on, whether it was something that had to do with my business or whether it was something, just in my personal life. She was always like in my mix, and I never really gave her a reason to discard me just straight up and down. You know what I'm saying? There was no like, in the situation at the beginning, like when I'm going through the love bomb, I guess it's like it was fulfilling at the very beginning because, like I said, I had all of these other distractions in my life. You know what I'm saying? It was so I wasn't necessarily um, feeling like I was missing anything from the relationship because I was busy over here, I'm busy over here, and then this person is at least fulfilling the free time that I do have. You know what I'm saying? So I know that my time is limited, and this person was actually able to come in, and fill up some of that void, I guess. So I guess with that being said, I started to realize that as much as as much as I was putting into the situation, as much as I was putting into the relationship, I wasn't getting these things in return. And then all of a sudden, now that I'm starting to wake up to the fact that I'm not getting these things in return, now comes the disrespect. Now comes a person that's coming in and being like completely like just out of left field too. You know what I'm saying? There was no reason that we weren't arguing, we weren't beefing. Like I said, I'm pretty much go with the flow. And all of a sudden, there was, all of these things. It was like she was poking the bear. She was going out of her way to rub me the wrong way. She was going out of her way like she would call me and tell me to meet her somewhere and never show. And I would go and she would never show up. Or she would tell me like, "Oh yeah, I'm on my way to your house," and she would, you know what I'm saying. I'm sitting here waiting, and she knows like I had something else scheduled that day, and she would, you know what I'm saying, never show up, that kind of thing. So it was like she was intentionally doing things to like try to rub me the wrong way, try to piss me off, that kind of thing. She wasn't involving me in anything that had to do with the pregnancy or any of that kind of stuff. So it was like she was intentionally trying to provoke me into a reaction. She was intentionally trying to like, uh, you know, push my buttons. And the reason that I feel like she was trying to push my buttons was to get a reaction out of me so I could explode. She wanted me to explode so she can control the narrative. She wanted me to blow up in front of everybody so she could say, "Oh, look how he's acting. Oh my God, he's," you know what I'm saying? She wanted to play the victim. So in her wanting to play the victim, she was going to basically sacrifice me. She was going to throw me to the wolves. She was going to make it seem like, oh, um, well, I don't know why he blew up like this. She was gonna go into victim mode. I don't know why he blew up like that. I don't know why he acting like that. That's why I try to tell gentlemen, especially on my channel, but anybody going through narcissistic abuse, you have to control your anger. You have to like when somebody is actually constantly trying to provoke you, you have to like just sit back and watch them sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that saved me in my situation is that I would never engage like the way that she wanted me to engage. She wanted me to blow up and like cuss her out and this kind of stuff. And I'm not gonna say that there were a few times that I didn't lose my cool. And because like I said, when somebody's constantly provoking you and poking at you, and I mean, I ain't never been no sucker. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never took disrespect kindly or whatever the case may be. But then when you start to realize that this person is actually being disrespectful on purpose to provoke you out of, trying to trick you out of your situation, trying to, whatever your situation is, they trying to make you act out of character so that they can run a narrative on you. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things that I noticed in my situation is that she didn't have a reason to break up with me. She didn't have a reason to start arguments with me because, like I said, I was very chill and go with the flow. And because of that, she had to create a reason. And that's what a lot of it's sad because I see a lot of it going on. I see a lot of videos where a lot of guys that are out of their kids' life and then they're like, well, why I gotta fight? Like I said, why I gotta fight for why I gotta fight for my kid and this, that, and the third. And a lot of times the mother has forced that gentleman out of the life, yeah, out of his life, you know what I'm saying, out of the kid's life or whatever the case may be. A lot of times that is something that happens more than people want to give credit to. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people that would love to be in their kids' life, men and